Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of True Picks, where every week we talk about everything that happens in the NFL. And we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to week 17 and breaking down some of the things that happened in week 16 and how all of that will affect what we call the playoffs, what we call the postseason tournament in our league in the NFL. Now, unfortunately, like last week, schedules could not align properly, so it's just me bringing myself and Chase's picks for you this week. But that doesn't mean that there's not a lot to discuss. It doesn't mean we're not going to have a good time talking about everything that happened in the week that was for week 16. So let's take a look at how Chase and I did. And wow, it was one of our best weeks. And I think Chase would agree with me that this is kind of the point in time, past couple weeks now. It's kind of been the point in time where if you are a good team, you've done enough to separate yourselves from the pack, and we kind of know who you are and what kind of team that you're going to be. Now, as you may remember, Chase had not given me his pick for Titans and Chiefs, and I messaged him after I did the show, and he reached back and said he wanted the Titans. And so, look at that. He almost pulled off a perfect, perfect week. He unfortunately put his faith in my Denver Broncos, and I put faith in the team out of Jacksonville, just because, like I had said, there's been so many times where Denver was due for a loss, and they finally got it. Now we do know that they bounced back on Christmas against the Chiefs, or the Chiefs' second string in some instances, third string quarterback. But the majority of their offensive skill position players, with the exception of Rashee Rice, and the majority of their defense, except for the cornerbacks. So it wasn't like, it was just basically, for the most part, it's Chris Oladipo. But it was a interesting series of games on Christmas. A lot of them kind of didn't matter, except for the Lions and the Vikings game, and that was really surprising in the ending of that game, or how the cookie crumbled in that game, just with the sheer number of turnovers that the Vikings defense forced, and Max Brosmer doing just enough to get away with a win, but more importantly, eliminating the Lions from playoff contention. That's really kind of the big story coming out of there. And what the Lions are going to have to do to rebuild. That they're in a situation where next year, they are going to owe Jared Goff a 70 million or so. I think it's like 72 million cap hit. Now, obviously, you can renegotiate some of those things. You can restructure contracts and so on and so forth. But it is a indication that the Detroit Lions really got to figure things out. And whether it's a situation that John Morton needs another year as the OC, whether they want to try to go a different direction, sometimes some people don't fully click right out the gate. And I don't know if they're going to necessarily keep John Morton, or if they're going to give him another year, try to just get him more comfortable in that offense. It's his own offense, but it's kind of like he's more comfortable with those skill position players, because when he came from Denver as Denver's passing game coordinator, and it's a change, right? It's a change of different. Now, obviously, it's a change of scenery, it's a different building, and those sorts of things. But you're working with Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're working with Jameson Williams, Gibbs, Monty, Laporta, a completely different set of cast of characters, and just ignoring for a moment that it's different skill sets, right? What those players are able to do versus the Cortland Suttons, Troy Franklins, and so on and so forth of the world. It's just different personalities. So maybe Morton needs another year. Who knows if they're going to go in a different direction. We'll see how all of that shakes out. But there's a lot of decisions that need to get made in the Detroit Lions building coming off of that loss. And at least they've got weeks now to kind of figure it out and figure out what they want to do going forward. They have the off season, and we'll see what they pick, but what direction they go with. But because we did not get a chance to do the show beforehand, we're going to jump straight into the weekend games. And of course, part of the reason why we couldn't do that is because of the holiday of Christmas. And on behalf of myself and Chase, We want to wish everyone a happy holiday, everyone a happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah, whatever it is that you celebrate during this time of year, even if you don't celebrate anything like from a religious perspective, if it's just the idea of being close with family and friends during the end of the year, and you get to sit back and reflect on the year that was and the year that will be. We want that for you. We want you to be able to enter the new year rested and well recovered. And hopefully during that time, as you're getting that rest, you'll be watching a little bit of football along with all of us. So let's get into what will be the rest of the week 17 slate. And let's talk about this opening game. This opening game, or openings 2 games on Saturday, coming out of the gate pretty strong. Chase has to. We know which team Chase is going to pick, but it's Chase's Chargers, and he says the Chargers. He thinks they're going to win this revenge game as the Texans' offense struggles. And listen, I think he's got a really strong argument there, because this is a Texans offense that has been doing well, but similarly to, say, like the Denver offense, they've been doing enough to get a win when they need to get a win. But they're not destroying teams. They're not doing it comfortably. Same with Denver, right? And that's part of the reason why a lot of people consider Denver to be weak, or to consider Denver to be frauds. Can a Texans offense that is being led by CJ Stroud, that last week a pick 6 allowed them to break 20 points, like the offense brought 16 points to the table, can they do that against a Chargers defense that is really, really strong and really, really capable? I don't know if they necessarily have that firepower. One thing that does work in their favor, as always, has been the week in and week out, is that Texans defense. And this is a ferocious pass rush that also gets the benefit of being able to have great coverage in their secondary, allows you to get coverage sacks against a Chargers front line that is banged up, beaten. They've had God knows how many different combinations of offensive line skill players. It's a hurting unit, and I think the Texans will be able to take advantage of it. However, I think that Justin Herbert has been playing at a different level because of what's been going on with that O-line and what they know. And they've leaned on Omarion Hampton more and more as he's come back from injury. I think it's going to be another Hampton game. I think they're going to try to get him in space and get the ball in his hands. He has been improving his number of receptions and targets each week, despite the fact that Kamani Vidal is more of that receiving back or elusive back that you'd want to use him as. Hampton brings that skill set to the table as well. I like Chase's pick. I'm going to go with that one as well. I think it leads to the storyline, right? The winner of the AFC West next week, week 18, Chargers, Broncos, also probably could be for control of the entire AFC, which is, the NFL loves beautiful storylines like that. They get to recreate what they did last year with Minnesota and Detroit. But speaking of NFC North teams, let's turn to the Packers hosting the Ravens. This is a Ravens team that I don't even know if we're going to have Lamar. Like, that's the situation. It's looking like it's going to be Snoop Huntley. And if this is Tyler Snoop Huntley, this is going to be, it's going to be tough for the Ravens to pick up a win here on this one. And it is an interesting game in the sense that Jordan Love's also banged up. A lot of those Packers players are banged up, but the Ravens, can that offense really do much with just Snoop Huntley against a Packers defense that, without Micah Parsons, is still doing pretty well? It's still looking pretty well. It's susceptible, it's vulnerable, but it can still take hits. I don't know if I like the Ravens in this one. I'm going to go Packers. Let's see how Chase picked this one. Packers. No Lamar as the Ravens lose to a Packers team looking to keep momentum for January. Yeah, it's a Packers team that they got to, they clinched the playoffs with the with the Lions loss, and really what they can play now for is seeding. But I don't really think there's how do you try to get seeding advantages when you're competing against teams like the Niners and the Rams, who are already in double-digit wins. The Packers are trying to get there. So let's turn to our next one. Speaking of, look, just the flow of this. Speaking of the NFC West, let's turn to division leader and the NFC leader in the Seahawks as they travel to the Panthers. The Panthers got to pick up this win because this is a big one for them in order to maintain momentum towards, similarly to Chargers Broncos, a Week 18 showdown with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the division on the line. That'll be dependent on the Buccaneers beating up on the Dolphins, which we can see that they are favored. But the Panthers have to hold home field. They have to hold that advantage. They have to fight back against a Seahawks team that is firing on all cylinders. I don't know if I see it. Let's see how Chase sees it. He's picking the Panthers way. They have no reason to beat Seattle. They legit shouldn't, but these idiots will win some way, somehow. I like the pick. I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go with the Seahawks simply because the Seahawks, they are firing on a lot of cylinders right now, and they have momentum coming off of that Thursday Night Football win against the Rams. And that's, maybe you could say it was fluky with the way that 2-point conversion rolled in their favor and winning a 2-point conversion in overtime. Like it is what it is. But like that is a recipe for success if you are able to continue, right? If you're able to build off of that and say, yeah, we got lucky. Now we take the time to try to diagnose what went wrong and how do we go from here? Credit where credit is due. The Panthers have really turned their season around. They're starting to turn their franchise around. I don't know if it's like what they got to do next to bring in more help for Bryce, but I think they have proven that you can build around Bryce Young. Let's stay in the NFC West and let's turn to the Cardinals. The Cardinals, oof. Talk about a lost season. The Cardinals travel to Cincinnati to try to get a win here. If you're the Cardinals, do you even want the win? Like, that's really the question. Like, is there a way to sort of like organically tank? We're seeing that potentially happen between the a little bit later the Raiders and the Giants. But like right now, you're picking 6th overall. Like, do you want to jeopardize that? Like, if you get a win here, because you don't know what's going to happen with some of these other teams. Do you want to try to leapfrog them? I don't know. To me, I wouldn't. But it is a tough situation because like you need to, and I've talked about this before, is the idea of you can't afford to lose your locker room. You can't afford to lose players that are towards the end of their deals, whether they're going to be needed to be re-signed in the offseason or whether they would be someone that you'd be negotiating with next year. You don't want to be in a situation where they lose faith and trust in the front office and the coaching staff. And we don't even know if Drew Petzing is going to be there, the offensive coordinator, whether Gannon, the head coach, is going to be there. It is a very volatile situation. So maybe the Cardinals do want to get that win, right? Like that's at least if you're Gannon, the idea being like if you go into Cincinnati, you pick up the win, you feel more confident that the team won't let you go, and you can turn to them and be like, hey, look, we beat Joe Burrow. Like we beat the Bengals. You let me have another year. Let me figure things out when I know I don't have to worry about Kyler Murray. Who knows? It's tough because the Cardinals, they don't have that great of a defense. Meanwhile, the Bengals have no defense. And the Cardinals have proven one thing. It's that they will fight. They will fight. They're fighting in every single one of these games. I don't know if they should, like I was saying before, but like they are fighting. I think I'm going to take the Cardinals in here. I don't know why. Just something about it makes me think like this could be like one of those last minute Michael Wilson touchdowns sort of thing. And if you got it, go for it. Like you might as well try. Let's see how Chase felt on this one. Cardinals versus Bengals. Bengals, I just hope Jamar Chase and Jacoby Brissett do something for me in a title game. Let's look at this guy thinking with fantasy first. What are we doing here? It should be like this should be a high-scoring game on paper because both of these defenses are terrible. The Cardinals also have offensive line issues, so that's really going to be a fascinating thing to watch because at least the Bengals can maybe get some practice reps for some of these second-string guys or third-string guys as they're doing more of their evals on this defense. Who knows? Let's turn to a team that is definitely doing evals for the quarterback position because it looks as though they're going to be moving away from Tua Tagovailoa, and that's the Miami Dolphins. Quinn Ewers has been the quarterback for them last week. I think he's going to be maintaining that this week. They didn't even want to take a look at Zach Wilson, which I thought was kind of funny, but they're saying, hey, let's try to figure out what we can do with Quinn Ewers, see what we can work with this here. They are definitely trying to move away from Tua. I don't think that Mike McDaniel is going to get fired. I think he has done enough to keep his job and has proven that he can work around Tua's limitations. And they were picking up wins. And if they weren't picking up wins, they were being competitive. They were fighting. And now they face a test of having to host a Buccaneers team that needs to win. Like the Buccaneers need this win really, really badly if they want to keep their season alive. Because if you look at the standings right now, it's not doing too well for them. So the Panthers are 8-7, and the Bucs are 7-8. If they are praying for the Seahawks to beat the Panthers, and they are praying that they're going to be able to beat the Dolphins, because then both teams are 8-8. And they're both headed for a showdown the week later when they will be. I think they're the home team actually in that Week 18 game. Let me take a look. Yes, they are hosting Carolina next week. So you got to think if you're the Bucs, you're like, look, Seahawks do Seahawks things. Cool. We take care of business against Miami, and then we are able. They have to come to us to try to win this division, and that's really the hope. That's really the dream. And if you're the Buccaneers, like, it's not a lost season. It's definitely been a hurt season because like they can easily win this game, win next week, and they're in the playoffs. And we know anything can happen in the playoffs. But so it's not a lost season, but it is a hurting season, right? Like you lose Evans, Godwin comes back, then you lose him again. Jalen McMillan gets concussed in the beginning of the year. You lose Bucky Irving with the shoulder injury for weeks on end. But you do realize, hey, a couple of years ago in 23, we got this Sean Tucker kid, and he's doing pretty well. Like you learn things about yourselves, and that's the narrative, right? That's a narrative of the Buccaneers season, and it's what are we looking to do, no matter what happens. What are we looking to do for next year? How do we try to help Baker Mayfield a little bit more? Will it be a situation where Todd Bowles, gets fired? I don't know. That's like this is technically speaking a playoff or fringe playoff team. And it's like, could their head coach get fired? Even if they you could see a world, like think about it. You could see a world where they make the playoffs, they lose wild card weekend, and then Todd Bowles gets fired. I could even personally see a world where they win wild card weekend, lose the divisional round, and Todd Bowles gets fired. Like, it's a low probability, but I see it. And it's a weird situation because you have to think to yourselves, if they had just let Todd Bowles go then last year and kept Liam Cohen, what could have been? You see what's happening in Jacksonville. Let's see how Chase is going on this one, and then I'll give my pick. Let's see, where's he on this one? Buccaneers. Yeah, he's saying, I don't feel good about this pick, but Ewers didn't show me enough to decide to choose them for an upset. And honestly, I think I'm going to go the same way. It is just a situation where Todd Bowles, for whatever it's worth, good, bad, or indifferent, he is a pretty decent defensive play caller. Now, the Buccaneers defense has been all over the place this year, but they are dealing with a rookie quarterback, and there's only so much help that Devon Achane can bring to the table for Quinn Ewers. And it's just a situation where the Buccaneers have way too much on offense that they should pick up this game. Let's stay in Florida. Let's turn to Colts and Jaguars. And the Colts and the Jaguars are a story of two seasons, right? A story of two halves. The Colts came out gangbusters, were doing really, really well. And then the Daniel Jones injury happened. Now he started playing through it, but it was affecting his play. And they started picking up some losses. There was an overtime loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. And then it just completely went off the rails with his full blown injury that ended the season for him. And they go and bring in Philip Rivers to try to I don't know if it's necessarily save the season, but like something, right? Like they're trying to get Philip Rivers just because of his level of experience, what he brings to the table. He knows Shane Steichen's system. I said to Chase, I think it's going to take like a week or so for him to knock off some of the rust. He looked pretty damn good and not too rusty at all. But the Colts defense has kind of, they got thrashed. They got thrashed against the Niners. They're looking to bounce back. Meanwhile, you have the Jaguars, who did not come out the gate hot, right? Came out the gate stumbling, and a lot of people said, "Oh, you can swap out the head coach," but it's more of a Trevor Lawrence problem than it is a who is the head coach. There's only so much that somebody can do, and they started out like really kind of hit or miss. By the time their bye week happened, they were 4-3 after week 8, and then after the bye, I don't know what it is, they just clicked. And from week 9 onwards, they have lost one game. They went from 4-3 to 11-4, including right now their crowning win, like this, probably their most qualifiable win, was against Denver last week, because they came to Denver in Mile High and did a damn good job against the Denver Broncos. So if you're the Jaguars, you have to be feeling confident about this game. You have to be feeling confident about your season, because right now it's all Jaguars. Like, there's a very easy situation here where the Jaguars can pick up cement control of the division before anything even happens, before their game even plays. Because tomorrow, if the Chargers are able to beat the Texans fall to 10-6, and the Jags pretty much have control. Like, they can't really lose the division at that point. Where is it? Because they play the Titans next after this. So I don't think even if they lost to the Colts here, I don't think they would lose to Titans. However, something more interesting at play. There's a world where the Jacksonville Jaguars at 11-4, if they pick up a win here, they can potentially sneak in. There's odds out there that they can sneak in and become the number 1 seed, because they have a win over the Chargers. Now, I'm not 100% certain how the math would work out if the Patriots keep winning, right? And the Jags win and Denver stumbles against the Chargers in week 18. But there is a world where you could be the number 1 seed, however low that probability is. But it starts here. It starts with beating up on a Colts team. It starts with a defense that has started to gel, started to come together and figure things out. And it comes with an offense that Jakobi Meyers, who would have thought? Who's been singing Jakobi Meyers' praise for the past like 2-3 years on this podcast? And look at what he has done, has sparked this offense. And Parker Washington and Brenton Strange and Travis Etienne. There's a lot to like on this Jaguar squad. I'm going to take the Jags. Let's see how Chase went here. He's going Colts. So on brand for the Jags. You're high on them. You think, wow, this team is great. Then they slip on their own banana peel and lose. Yeah, it is a weird situation, and maybe he's giving them the Philip Rivers rub. It's because he really wants Philip Rivers in the playoffs. But it could also be a situation where he's actively rooting against them because he doesn't want anything interfering with his Chargers. Who knows? But I was watching Jaguars games, but now having seen really upfront and close and personal, the Jaguars against Denver. And Denver's defense has been taking a serious step back since the bye week. But all of that said and done, Jaguars did really well. Let's turn to the most lopsided game this week, at least from the money line perspective. I don't think we got to talk too much about this one. Chase said Chase is picking the Patriots, and his analysis here is, and I quote, Patriots, comma, LOL, Jets stink. And he's not wrong. The Jets currently are in possession of the 4th overall pick, according to Tankathon. That means they're going to get Caleb Downs. And I don't think they want to do anything to affect that tank job that they're doing, because they either are going to go quarterback, they're going to try to trade up to get a quarterback, they might trade down to get more draft capital as they start this rebuild. But either way, there's a lot of options, especially if you have the 4th overall pick. And why waste it? Why get into situations you don't need to? And of course, luckily, you're playing a Patriots team that is doing pretty well, especially when they get to beat up on bad teams. The question here I'm interested in seeing is TreVeyon Henderson. He's currently in concussion protocol, but today he was practicing without the red no contact jersey. So one, for those people who need him for fantasy finals, best of luck to you. And more generally speaking, to see how exactly they are going to continue to work him into that 1A role over Ramondre Stevenson, and to eventually get Ramondre Stevenson to be the RB2 of the team. Or will Mike Vrabel continue to be a terrorist and be the reason why I lost 2 redraft leagues, because he would not play TreVeyon Henderson until it was too late. But let's turn to the team he used to be the head coach of, the Tennessee Titans. And they are going to be hosting the New Orleans Saints. My goodness, what have we done here? We have seen an incredible turnaround from the Saints. 2nd round Tyler Shough is playing really well. And that may be a function of the fact that he's 37 years old. But at the same time, he's getting the job done. And he's got Chris Olave. Alvin Kamara, I believe, is out for this game. I don't know. You know what? Let me check. Let me see what's going on here with the running back position. I think it is still, it's going to be Audric Estime and Evan Hull again. And there's a lot to like on this Saints squad. There are like a lot of pieces. There's a lot of young players. There's a lot of talent. The question is, can they really work together and get the job done? Because we've seen the Saints team stumble. We've seen them get better. But the question is, can you continue to prove yourselves? And it is a situation where it's 2 teams that are sort of competing for better draft positioning, right? In the sense that the Titans are currently the 5th overall pick, and per Tankathon, that's Ruben Bain Jr. And the Saints are the 8th overall pick. And if you are a Devin Neal guy, sucks to suck, I guess, because for Tankathon, that would be Jeremiah Love. And I don't think there's a world where Devin Neal is holding off Jeremiah Love as the RB1 if Alvin Kamara does retire. But if you're the Saints, you got to continue to build. You got to continue to show and prove. Kellen Moore is doing a pretty damn good job with this offense. And luckily for him, he gets to go up against a team that isn't the greatest in the world. The Titans seem to be just biding their time and waiting to get to the offseason so they can get a new head coach and figure out what their plan is going to be for next year. They know they have the quarterback, in the sense that Cam Ward has looked rough, but the good spots have looked really good, as opposed to Will Levis, where he did look rough, but then the good spots never really looked that great. You can see the decision-making from Cam Ward. You can see the gamesmanship, the desire, the drive to win. And I like it for the Titans. I like the future for the Titans. Alec Ayomanor has been looking good. Chimere Dike has been looking good. There are pieces there in place for this team. They just got to get it together. And I think that this is an offseason for them to do it. If you know you have the quarterback, That's what you need. Like I think of them right now as similar to what the Panthers were a couple of years ago, where they weren't 100% sure if they had the guy right in Bryce, but then once they knew, they were like, okay, what do we got to do? They got Ted. What do the Titans need to do? That's what we will be figuring out in the offseason. They just got to get there. Unfortunately, they're going to have to lose this game to the Saints before they get a chance to figure out all that kind of stuff. And let's turn to what Chase is thinking about for this one. He is picking the Saints. Can't believe we might see Tyler Shough outplay Cam Ward on Sunday. Yeah, Shough has been it is interesting, right? Cam Ward was the first overall pick, but Jackson Dart has looked really, really good. Tyler Shough has looked really, really good. I don't know if it's necessarily goes to show that everything is a crapshoot all the time, but like it does go to show that sometimes you don't always know. Like some scouting can be done, but man, even Shedeur has looked really, really good. Shit, I didn't even know that was look at what the next game was. But what a transition! You have Shedeur Sanders going up against the Steelers, and really, this game is all about one thing. It's all about one thing. The question is going to be, can Myles Garrett get the sack? Can he break the sack record? And a lot could be said about the sack record or just records in general. And on the one hand, I get what people would say if he didn't do it this week and did it next week. The idea of, he did it in 17 games versus 16. But at one point in time, the season was 14 games, right? So like it's a natural evolution. These are just how these things go. And so I like if he didn't get it this week and he got it next week, I wouldn't personally hold it against him. Like he got it done. Why does it matter? Did Strahan had extra games? So why does it matter? But let's figure out where we go on this one. I think it's a situation where the Steelers win. The question is just, for me, the sack record. And let's see how Chase was feeling this one. He goes Steelers as well. Browns will play this tough, and I do think we will see the Steelers offense struggle here, though in the end they will pull through. The Steelers, yeah. Here we go. So right now, you have I want to confirm this because it's 2, right? Yeah, it's 2-13 Las Vegas Raiders up against the 2-13 New York Giants. And if you're the Giants, you got to get that tank. You got to get that first overall pick. If you're the Raiders, you got to get that first overall pick too. It's a situation where if you want Mendoza, you got to control the pick. And I don't know if they necessarily want Mendoza or they want the flexibility to be able to trade out of the pick and maybe get Dante Moore. Yeah, I think he has declared. But I don't know if John Mateer is declared, but one of these quarterbacks that's coming out, Pavia maybe, on the shorter side, but there's an inflation on quarterbacks. But either way, it's easier to know, it's easier to do it if you control the draft pick. And for these two teams, this is the fascinating thing to see now, the gamesmanship, the idea that the Raiders last week shut down Brock Bowers, who admittedly is hurt, but could play through it if they wanted him to. And now this week they're talking about shutting down Max Crosby. And it's well, yeah, because Max Crosby is such a good player that he will inadvertently help the team. Whether he's trying to or not, it's just a natural. Some guys just have that. They just have it, right? They have that natural. You snap the ball. I try to take the quarterback. That's what I do. So it is a situation here where both of these teams have to try to figure out, how do I lose? How do I get this loss? And who do we think is going to pull off the idiocy of picking up the win here? Let me see how Chase is looking at this one, and he's going with the Raiders. Somehow, he says, the Raiders will fuck up the tank. I'm going to pick this one. I'm picking this just because of what I would like to see. I would like to see the Raiders mess up the tank, and that's just he and I are AFC West bias coming out. But let's turn to a game. These next two games, super interesting, right? Super, a lot of firepower in these next couple games. The Bills and the Eagles, potentially a Super Bowl preview, as some people might say. The Bills coming off of a up and down season. They have been on the cusp of securing the cusp of securing a playoff berth, and then they finally pull it off, and yet it seems as though it's going to be the Patriots that are standing in their way, and they got to be so annoyed if this is the case, because the Patriots have that one game advantage right now. Pats are 12-3, the Bills are 11-4. The Bills have to hope, if they're trying not to be if they're trying not to be a wild card team, they have to hope that somehow the Jets beat the Patriots, or next week, I think it's the Dolphins, beat the Patriots, and that the Bills can win out. But like, it is a really tough sled for any team to be a road team in the playoffs, because like right now, if they had to travel, it would be Texans would travel the Patriots, Chargers would travel the Steelers, and Bills would travel to Jacksonville. And Jacksonville's firing on all cylinders right now. And if you're the Bills, you know that like you got to run the ball, and you have to try to stop the run, because that's what the playoffs is. The playoffs are who can run the ball better. Because in any of these situations, even if like all of these one-score games that like Denver's winning or some of these other teams are winning, a lot of it comes down to, can you run the ball? Because in a one-score situation, you make people more desperate if you can continually kill the clock. And the Bills have two really great ways of doing that between Allen and James Cook. But the problem is that they can't stop the run. They're having issues against the run, and they're facing an Eagles team that is starting to potentially put it all together. The Eagles have had a really up and down season, in the sense that at 10-5, they are a playoff team, but like, how many people really feel comfortable about the Eagles in the playoffs? Like, you could see a world where the Eagles get bounced. They're a division leader. They've won their division. They're the only team that's in the NFC that's won their division for sure. The rest of them are going to come down to the week 18, or maybe after this week. But like, it's a shaky 10-5, and right now the Eagles would have the Rams travel to them, which they beat up on the Rams last year. But oof, I don't know if I want to. Was it last year that they was it? No, the Rams faced oh god, why do I not remember this? No, it was the Rams, divisional playoffs. Rams. You can do it, but like, you don't have Saquon Barkley running the way that he used to. There is something absolutely off. But Kevin Patullo does seem to be slowly getting it together. They're trying new things. They're trying to get back to the things that made the Philadelphia Eagles the Philadelphia Eagles. But if you do, like, the question is timing. If you peak too early, you're putting enough on tape that maybe there are ways to stop it. But if you don't hit your stride, if you're not the one seed, you need to be able to win games and win them quickly. So it is a fun situation here for this one. I'll put my pick first, then we'll get to how Chase feels. I'm going to take the Bills. The Bills just have a little bit more that they're fighting for, right? Like, the Eagles, they have the division fully locked up. They can afford to take the loss, and they can think about other things. There's not really a situation where, if you're the Eagles, you look at it and you go, it doesn't matter really what happens, because I am 10-5. I would need to win both of these games, and I would need for the Seahawks to lose 2 games, and I would need for the Bears to lose their games, and then I don't even think that they would have all of the tiebreakers that they would need to to be the one seed. Because yeah, if it came down to them and the Bears have the head-to-head tiebreaker, and if it comes down to them, and if the Rams are able to take control of the division from Seattle, then there could be a situation because they have a tiebreaker against the Rams. But it's tough sledding to get that first overall seed. I think they're in a situation where they're thinking more about, let's try to keep people healthy. We can afford to take losses because we already have control of the division. Let's just try to get this offense where it needs to be without anybody getting hurt. Let's look at where Chase is feeling on this one, and he's going with the Bills. Nice little potential Super Bowl preview. I think the Bills win this one. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun game, and like he said, and I said at the start of the preview, this is absolutely a potential Super Bowl matchup. But speaking of potential Super Bowl matchups, let's look at the next one, which is a potential NFC Championship matchup, if anything. The Niners have been playing pretty damn well. They have been picking things up and getting healthy, getting right. It is a situation now where you're a little concerned because George Kittle picked up an injury in the game last week. But man, when the Niners are firing on all cylinders, when they are on the top of their game, it is tough to beat them. And they play such great complementary football that they can go fast, they can go slow, they can help out their defense by letting them get rest. There's so many options when you have players like Christian McCaffrey, and I'm not really saying anything new there by bringing that up. This is a team that is really strong on multiple sides of the ball, which is strange considering the relative number of injuries that this defense has had to deal with, and season-ending injuries, right? Like there's no Nick Bosa right now. So it is a credit to George Saleh for trying to get this unit to perform above expectations for the names that are left because from the injuries. And it is a testament to Kyle Shanahan for continuing to find ways on offense to just surprise teams and not get into because like think about it. If you were playing Madden, wouldn't you just spam CMC? Like, wouldn't you just spam like curl flats or inside zone run? Like, you would just do the things that got the ball in CMC's hands. And they do that. But they also try to spread it around enough that they can be versatile. And that's where I think the loss of Kittle is going to be really, really interesting. I think that's something that's going to hurt them. The question is for Jake Tongs, will he be able to step up as tight end 2 for now tight end 1 if Kittle is missing time? If I'm the Niners, I know I have a playoff spot. I could be willing. I could hear an argument in the building as to why Kittle shouldn't play. I didn't look today. Let me see if he's been ruled out. So he's considered questionable versus the Bears, and Ricky Pearsall is also considered questionable. It is I could see, and they're saying John Lynch reveals George Kittle will be a game time decision for the Bears. It's a situation where like if you feel faith and trust in Jake Tongs, I can see a world where you can sit him. Because even if you won this game, right, you would need a lot of things to break your way for you to be able to take the division and take the 1 seed. Because like you would need Seattle to lose for starters, and your games against Seattle, you won the first one, and then you got the second one. That's your Week 18 game. So does it make sense to potentially try to beat the Bears, pray that somehow the Panthers beat the Seahawks, and then have arrested George Kittle Week 18 when you need him, right? To potentially that's your chance to steal the division, steal the 1 seed, which would be bonkers if you're the Niners. Like that's something that's fascinating to see. This NFC West is so up for grabs because the Niners are 11-4, the Rams are 11-4, Seattle's 12-3. Let's talk about Rams and Falcons. But right before that, let's see what Chase had to say about this one. He is picking the Cardiac Bears. This team just finds ways to win. I also think the injuries to the Niners will catch up to them. Yeah, it is a game where a lot of this is going to come down to the Shanahan ability to improvise against a Bears defense that is really, really good at getting turnovers. And if there's one thing that Brock Purdy has shown an ability to do is to get caught up in multiple turnover games. I think the Niners have to try to keep this on the ground. I think they have to try to lean on the CMCs and the Brian Robinsons of the world. I don't know if they really. I know they've activated him and started working him into the lineup, but like they have not given that many opportunities on the ground to Jordan James, the rookie from Oregon. I could see a world where maybe they even try to sprinkle him in there, potentially as a backfield receiver. That'd be interesting to see as well. I'm going to take the Niners, and this one really is like a kind of a coin flip game. But like I said, let's turn to the third team in the NFC West that is competing for a competing for the 1 seed and control of the NFC West, the Rams. This one feels just like, oh, you know what? Let me see what Chase was saying, because I have a feeling he and I are going to be in agreement. Because I haven't looked. My thought process is the Falcons can easily win this game because like they just win random ass freaking games because they're weird like that. The Rams are a strong team, but they are susceptible. And I can see a world where the Falcons win this. I'm going to take the Rams. Let me see what Chase said. He's taking the Rams as well. But hey, it would be on brand for the Falcons to win this, though I think the long week off for the Rams will help them fend off this trap game. Yeah, it is a fun game to look for on Monday Night Football, and I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I definitely am, because it's going to be a lot of things that we'll know by the end of that day. We'll know, but by the time that game is happening, by the time that game is happening, we'll know what happened with Niners. We'll know what happened with Seattle and the Panthers. The Rams will know, like, how badly they need to win this one to potentially just yank the division and yank the 1 seed. So we'll see, because like if the Niners win, they can kick the Bears out of contention for the 1 seed, but they can then also open the door between themselves and the Rams for the Rams to sneak in and pick up the win, especially since the Rams, I think the Rams, it's not Arizona. It would make sense if it was Arizona, but is it Arizona? Yeah, it is Arizona. I don't know why I was overthinking that, but yeah, this is going to be a fun one to see how the rest of the NFC West shakes itself out. But guys, I want to thank you all for tuning in. I'm hoping that Chase and my schedule will be able to link up properly for next week. But as always, we want to remind you to take care of yourselves and each other, and wish you all once again Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, whatever it is that you celebrate. Even if you don't celebrate anything, enjoy the downtime, enjoy the time with your families. So from us to you, remember, take care of yourselves and each other. That's the important part. That's the important part from the Jerry Springer quote. But we'll catch you all later.